Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to your soulful morning. Welcome to our soulful morning, our spiritual morning. A morning about going inwards into our soul's journey. Let's close our eyes and center, balance, align ourselves with the wonderful breath work that we all meant to do. Take a deep breath in, bow in gratitude. Take a deep breath out, exhale in gratitude. Take a deep breath in, inhale in light. Take a deep breath out. Exhale the darkness. Take a deep breath in. Inhale the healing quality. Take a deep breath out. Exhale the doubts, the fears. Let's once again come together. It's a beautiful, profound morning. A morning with a purpose. The doctors say, pull the plug. She's ready to go. If you as a family are ready to let her go. Today, once again, as a soul family, we will connect with Sunaina Agarwal, 45, female, resident of Pune, and speak to her, her soul, her masters, to help us, protect her, guide her, guard her, shield her, and motivate her to drop the idea of leaving Mother Earth, to be finally taking rebirth again here, with the exact birth that the soul wanted to take a rebirth again in a few years, to fulfill its soul purpose, to fulfill its soul promise. Let's speak to the soul, make it understand that there's so much more this soul can do on this earth, being in the body of Sunaina Agarwal. So once again, let's imagine that we are all in this beautiful world of healing love, of healing light. And we are sharing our love and light. We all are holding hands with the divine feminine energy invoking in us, energizing us. We are holding hands and we're seated in a circle of love, compassion, kindness, oneness, gratitude, healing, and above all, prayers. We are gathered here to understand this soul journey. And in between us today, let's imagine Sunaina Agarwal, 45, female, Pune, right now who's in the Ruby Hospital there, sitting in the center of our circle, absolutely hale and hearty, because soul is ever so young, ethereal, eternal. We are right now, not the bodies, not the names that we are all there, but the soul connection. Our souls and her soul together. She being in the center and we all being around her, holding hands, protecting her in our world of shield. Now let's invoke the love, the guidance, the light of our masters, of our angels, of our guides, of our spirit guides, of our teachers, of our ancestors, of our loved ones. May they be on Mother Earth, Ma Gaia, or may they be in any other planet. May they be in this universe or any other universe. May they be in this consciousness or may they be in higher consciousness. May they be light beings or human beings. Let's invoke in their consciousness, their healing, their kindness, their guidance today on all of us gathered here. And now, let's feel their presence behind ourselves. So we all are seated in a circle. Sunaina is seated in the center. So above us, around her, we see her masters, her angels, her guardians. Basically, all the light beings are around all of us. The light beings that I have invoked are behind me, yours are behind you, hers are around her, and we are surrounding her. And now, after having visualized this beautiful scene, let's invoke the protection prayer and invoke a purple orb, a beautiful purple circle of love and light and healing and divine energy. And now this purple light is enveloping all of us in a perfect, huge purple ball of light, of healing, of high spiritual energy. And it's such a large ball. When we see above us, we see minimum 7 to 9 feet above us, the purple energy. On the left, 7 and 9. On the right, 7 and 9. Below 7 and 9. It's a perfect, beautiful orb that is ever glowing. And in that, we have so much of divine energy of our light beings. And we are light beings right now. We're all souls. Our bodies are there. But our souls are now going to enter a profound conversation with each other. This morning is all about the soul's journey. So let's each one of us, in our homes and spaces, take time and speak our heart out to Sunaina's soul, with all the other light beings as witnesses to our magical practice. I take the honor to speak first to Sunaina's soul. After that, we'll shift around. I'll name each one of you, or it doesn't matter. You can just randomly talk in your own world without being heard, because you're going to be heard in that purple orb. Let me be audible and be heard so that you can get the direction on where to speak. And then whatever comes to your heart, for however long it comes, channel your energy, speak. They say communication is the best key. Today, let's use this key and unlock the lock of potential of life. I hereby start. Dear Sunaina soul, Atma Namaste. The highest in me, Kamal, bows to the highest in you, your soul. I'm honored and grateful to be part of this purple orb energy, this light energy, this divine spiritual healing energy. I'm grateful to all the masters who ascended down, descended down, to be with us in this light, in this love, in this kindness, this empathy. Dear soul, I realize, Kamal realizes, that every soul is born with a purpose. And you had chosen some purpose. You were born to your parents in the Jindal family. After you, you'd chosen, or your brother had chosen to be a part of your family, and so did your sister. But due to some reasons, your brother decided to leave Mother Earth and exit at a very prime young age in 30s. But you, dear soul, have progressed on to this magical age of 45. And you, dear soul, have chosen the body of this beautiful, gorgeous girl, Sunaina, who's absolutely blessed with everything the world can choose. Spiritual, God-fearing, God-believing, God-loving, going around from one temple to another, from one city to another, meditating, serving, whether in a gurudwara, whether in a mandir, whether in a gaushala. And you chose Kunal as your life partner, who's to the next level, religious, spiritual, and a beautiful human being, a beautiful Indian by heart, patriot who works towards uplifting lives of sports people, who's running the biggest pharma logistic company in the country. You, dear soul, are blessed with His love, His unconditional love. His world starts and stops at you, dear soul, in this body that you've incarnated as Sunena. You had been blessed with a son and a daughter. The son continues to flourish to a beautiful age of 19, and the daughter, unfortunately, was taken away from you when she was not even one. Today, she's also around you, dear soul. But again, you chose to give birth to another daughter, Gayatri, who's now a beautiful 13 years of age. When everything is going right, why do you think can you not serve your soul's purpose? This process, this December, is a month of ending with the hope of a new beginning. So why don't you end what you think was no longer required, but be in the body of Sanena and begin your soul's purpose? Take a complete shift of personality of being or whoever you think you are. You are so full of love in this life. Continue that love of life. Continue being the tree of life for your children, for your husband, for your extended family, because everybody needs you. Do not call it quits just now. It's not your time now. We're in this new, beautiful age of ascension. And the lowest serving consciousness souls decide to leave Earth, but you're not lower serving consciousness. You are at its highest. Yes, you may not have reached the premium that you had desired in this life, but what is stopping you now? Start now. It's never too late. 45 can be the new beginning. Enter 2024, and the new world can be chosen just the way you had with your soul's purpose. I request you, I, Kamal, the higher self of Prachi on Mother Earth, choose you, the higher self of Sunena, to relay my message to you, to convey my message to you with the promise that spirituality will be on its rise. Whatever soul purpose you have, you would be able to fulfill. Because that's what we light beings, we human beings who are right now encircling this beautiful body of yours, are sending you so much of love, light, healing, and energy. And now I request all the other healers here to take your time in silence, or if you wish to be heard, to speak to Sunena's higher self. Your higher self speaks to Sunena's higher self. You being the voice. Choose your own communication path, whether you want to be heard or you want to be in silence. Continue to heal, continue to talk, continue to tell the soul that this purpose is there, not to exit at the moment. Even though it feels it's the right time to exit, it's not the right time. We humans need you. Take your time, communicate with the soul. If you're done, sit in blessing mode. Alternatively, you can open your eyes, open your phones, see Sunaina's picture on your screen. Imagine her seated in the center with all of us and looking into her eyes with her heart and her brain. Open your hands to bless her. Love, healing light, healing energy, strength to you, dear soul, to you, dear body, to fight the sickness, to be healed with the power of crystals, to be healed with our blessings. We all are channels of spreading love, light, and blessings. We are blessing you to fight back, to rise as a shining, beautiful survivor, to see this world full of light, to shine bright, to share your light with your children, to share your light with your husband. You, dear soul, are so powerful. Don't just let go. We bless you with strength, with courage, with love, with compassion, with kindness, with empathy. We understand whatever you've gone through. But this life is worthwhile. Make it worthy of living. Let the world know spirituality is on its rise, that healing community has the power. That power of intention, of feeling of so many of us comes to fruition. And you, dear soul, shine. With your surviving in this world, all of us faith will become strengthened. That doesn't mean that we will go weaker in our faith, but we'll become stronger in our faith. Fight back, dear soul. You can do it. You are a mother. You've chosen a feminine, divine body. The divine energy. Be healed. Be healed. Be healed. Be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed. Rise and shine. Rise and shine. Rise and shine. So be it. Now, everybody, rub your hands together. Bless your entire body. You have masters, light beings around you. You're in this purple world of light. You can manifest whatever you want. Firstly, manifest great health, good health for yourself and your loved ones here on Mother Earth. Then you must manifest happiness, joy, love, and light, and all possible comforts and all possible avenues to grow in all aspects of your being, to shine brighter as a person, to become better, best in every way possible in this life. And whatever you have any or more desires, to be financially rich, to be comfortable, so comfortable that you can pursue your spiritual goals, to be so emotionally well supported, to be able to pursue your spiritual goals, knowing that your family is well taken care of, and to come back to them after your spiritual knowledge, growth, and however, back to them with so much of light, so much of love to share. And now, open your eyes and expand your hands and say, affirm, I am open and receptive to all the magics, to all the divine synchronicities, to the abundance in this universe. Dear universe, thank you for making me a channel of spreading love, light, and blessings and healing. And may I continue to be in this path. And the more I give, the more I get. Strength, love, kindness, compassion, empathy, and the zest to grow inwards. May this be a beautiful defining moment and life of ours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is. Be blessed, everybody. Thank you for joining in the secret space. Jyoti, you want to say something before the session starts? If you do, you could unmute yourself and say, if you feel.
Yes, I just wanted to say I was just healing the nerves of Sunaina so that whatever there is the blockage, it releases and she's back to life. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. May the words of Jyoti, the feelings of Jyoti come to fruition. So it is. And I feel very grateful to all of you for this beautiful, 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 profound healing. I'm not sure tomorrow how will the car connection be, how would my Wi-Fi work, but I do wish that we conclude the book tomorrow, but nonetheless we will connect. I leave at 5, so at 6 I will switch on my session. And if possible, if we can start at 5:45 or 5:50, if 5:50 is a good time, let's start tomorrow at 5:50, because something around 7, I would probably be navigating my way into the hospital. I'm hoping to reach in time. So maybe 5:50 tomorrow. Is that okay with everybody? Pratima ji,
Yes.
Madhuri,
Yeah.
Sonia, can I see you? I just need to see your energy because I saw Jyoti and I feel blessed. And I just feel guided.
Always there, always blessing you and blessing everyone around you. And Sudana is going to come back. She'll be with us. I
Yes,
see her smiling and happy
yes.
with her
Thank
family.
you.
Definitely.
Thank you for sharing this space.
You have to be strong, Prachi. You can't let yourself down like this.
I'm
You have
very
to give the
strong.
energy. Be
Yes,
strong.
yes, I'm very strong. Thank
Yes.
you.
Do that.
Thank you,
Yes.
Sonia. Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you, everybody. All right. So now we start our beautiful book. And the book is Same Soul, Many Bodies. And let's see today, as our soul beings, what lesson we get to learn. And right in front of our screen, we have chapter number 13, Jennifer and Christina. And the message is love, anger management, health, empathy, compassion, patience and understanding, non-violence, relationships, security, destiny, and free will, contemplation and meditation, spirituality. All these are steps to immortality. All these must be mastered now or in the future in our journey to the one soul. And all these facets of the greatest virtue, which is love. Love is the ultimate lesson. How can you retain anger if you love? How can you not be compassionate or empathetic? How can you not choose the right relationships? How can
Prachi,
you try
please.
another? I'm fine. I'll be okay. Foul the environment. War with the neighbor. Not have a room in your heart for other viewpoints, different methods, divergent lifestyles. You can't. Let's read again. Love is the ultimate lesson. How can you retain anger if you love? How can you not be compassionate, empathetic? How can you not choose the right relationships? How can you strike another, foul the environment, war with a neighbor, not have a room in your heart for other viewpoints, different methods, divergent lifestyles? You can't. When my patients have gone through regression and progression, and or progression, and have mastered their phobias and dramas, love is what they understand. Many get this message from those who play key roles in their lives, but many hear it from the other side, from a parent, spouse, child who has died. I'm fine. The messages say, I'm okay. I love you. You don't have to grieve for me. What lies beyond is not darkness but light. For I am where love is, and love is light. How beautiful, how lovely, how magical. These messages might be wish fulfillment, fantasies to ease the pain of loss, but I don't think so. I've heard them too many times from too many people. Love is what we carry from life to life, although in some lifetimes we are unaware of it and in some misuse it. Ultimately, though, it is what keeps us evolving. For example, Jennifer, having just given birth to her third child, was handed the baby for the first time. She recognized the child immediately. The energy, the expression in the eyes, the immediate connectedness. Knew again, we are together again. The baby was with the woman's grandmother. The baby was the woman's grandmother in a past life. They'd fought bitterly throughout their life, all the while loving each other, though the love went unexpressed. Now she knew, was their chance to make amends. There are all kinds of people, of course, romantic love, the love of a child for a parent and a parent for a child, and love of nature, of music, of poetry, of all things on this earth and in the heavens. Love continues on the other side and is brought back here by the soul. It is the understanding of all the mysteries. To me, it is the ultimate religion. If we could all love on our own way, if we could abandon the rituals that pronounce mine is the true path, all others are sham, if we could abjure the violence, conflicts, and pain we inflict in the name of specific God, our God. When by definition God is universal, God is love, we would not have to wait through innumerable lifetimes to get to heaven. Christina dressed in a style that American women can't seem to emulate. Flamenco inspired skirts that reach the floor, blouses in bright reds, blues, purples, yellows, luxuriant black hair pulled back severely and kept in place by ribbons of fantastic hues. When she first came to see me, I was struck by her showness. But as her visits multiplied, I realized that the colors were compensation for her dark moods and darker thoughts. She was a woman fighting to retain a spark of self, even as the family strove to snuff it out. There were dark patches of skin under her eyes, and her hands trembled slightly. Fatigue, I thought. She complained of asthma, and in times of stress it was apparent in her breathing. But it was her psychological problem that induced her to ask for my help. Full bodied but not fat. She exuded what turned out to be an ambiguous impression of strength within a palpable sexuality. And from the beginning, she alternated between facing me squarely, almost hostilely, and averting her eyes from mine with the latent demureness that bespoke a strict aristocratic upbringing, I guess. Her to be in her late 20s, she turned out to be 10 years older. She wore a ring on her fourth finger of her left hand, a large ruby that matched the flamboyance of her clothes, and I wondered if it was meant for decoration or as a proclamation of marriage. Divorce, she said, noting my look. 2 children. I wear the ring because it's beautiful and because it scares off suitors. Her English was elegant, impeccable, yet I could detect traces of an accent. You're not from Miami, I said. A statement, not a question. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Ah, and you moved here when? 3 years ago, to join my father after my divorce. You live with him then? No, no. He lives with my mother in Bal Harbor. I'm a few miles away. With your children? Yes, the girls. Rosanna is 7, Regina is 5. They're very dear. So when you say you came to join your father, to work with him, to be with him in his business, which is what? Really, you don't know. I went back to my maiden name after the divorce, and I'd have thought you'd recognize it. Of course, stupid of me. I should have made the connection immediately. Her father was head of a company specializing in high-end clothing. In the past 2 years, it had branched out into a line of younger, less expensive sportswear, which my wife Carol later told me was once the thing to wear if you were a teenager. I asked if Christina's move coincided with her father's new venture. Coincidentally, she said. I make no decisions and have no say in planning. Her eyes flashed with anger. I'm little more than a servant girl with her own office. And this is frustrating too. Frustrating? It's infuriating. She leaned towards me and spoke with passion that made her tremble. My God, what I could do if he let me. He makes clothes for women but doesn't believe women should have the final say on how they look. My eye is twice as good as his. I'm twice as clever. His clothes were a fad, and like all fads, they became obsolete. Already people have stopped buying. My clothes will be timeless. Christina, I thought, would accomplish whatever she set out to do. But he won't listen. I asked. He shuts me off like a car engine. I've given up trying. To fight him is like fighting an army of the Inquisition. What about your mother? Can she help? She can't help herself. My mother's simply a decoration like a vase of flowers. She shuts up because she knows he could replace her whenever he felt like it. But he hasn't. Sure, he has a million times. He keeps his women in separate apartments or separate hotels depending on how serious he feels about them. In his religion, divorce is not allowed. I defied it and divorced 4 years ago. He almost killed me when I did. It's only when he knew he needed me that he let me come to America. Does your mother know about the other women? She'd be a fool if she did. Christina paused. But then she's a fool. I did not remark on the bitterness. Are you an only child, only daughter? I have two elder brothers. Do they work in the business too? Work is the wrong word. They come out into the office and go out to the lunch. Yet, they get promotions, they respect, they listened to. It was an easy guess. My father is too savvy to take the advice, but you're right about the promotions and respect. You see, I'm a woman and deserve neither. It was a familiar complaint of Latin women stifled by a culture that had not progressed into the 20th century. She was obviously the star of the family, yet she was obscured by the cloud of tradition and close mindedness. Why don't you leave, strike out on your own? It was as though I'd accused her of murder. Ashen faced, she pushed back from her chair, stood, and then collapsed back down. She began to cry, dissolving under what seemed to be an obvious question. I don't know, she wailed, all sophistication gone, but suddenly defenseless. Please, please, I need your help. The change in her was so sudden that beyond a mumbled, of course I'll help, I felt awed. Tell me the problem, I said. Be as precise as you can. She looked at me through tear filled eyes and breathed with difficulty. You have to understand one thing. I love my father. No matter what I tell you, that's the underlying truth. Love him and hate him, I thought. Hardly a unique emotional conflict. When he came to America, leaving me and my husband and babies behind, I felt relieved. My brothers went with him, and it seemed that by their going, I was rid of all the constraints, all the pressures imposed on me by tyrannical Brazilian patriarch of the old school. She laughed ruefully. Men 1,000, women zero. He never hit me, never was cruel. On the contrary, he gave me everything I wanted, and that was the trouble. I never earned them, or rather, I earned them by being obedient. When I was still a little girl, I realized I was smarter than my brothers. By the time I was 20, I knew I was smarter than my father, too. I worked for him for a while in Brazil, helped the company grow, really helped, without taking any credit for it, but it didn't do me any good. I was diminished, shunted aside, not only by him, but by brothers who were jealous of my brains and my mother, who was a slave. It wasn't right. It wasn't just. So I married the first man who came after me without realizing he was just as tyrannical, and he hit. But by now, the tears had stopped. Her level was high. Her voice was level, though I could feel the intense emotion behind her words. I had no doubt that she was reporting accurately. Christina was a woman pitted against an age-old culture with age-old beliefs, and as strong as she was, they had besetted her. They had bested her. She took a deep breath. Okay, my family's in Miami. Here's in Miami, and he's in Miami, and I'm in Sao Paulo with a terrible husband and two babies I adore. My father opposes my divorce, and I go through with it anyway. I had no choice. He was hitting the girls too. And only when it's final do I tell my father. From him, silence, many months, silence. And then all of a sudden he calls, come to Miami, work with me in the company. You're alone. I'll take care of you. So I came. I thought he was taking pity on me, generosity and compassion from a man who had never shown them. The line for teenagers was my idea, and I was thrilled when we began to work together again. I fed him other ideas. He ate them like chocolates. Pretty soon I realized nothing had changed, that he was using me, that my brothers were the beneficiaries of my talent, that he was a greedy, self serving, cold blooded villain. And yet, I pointed out, you say you love him. Thought crossed my mind that he might have abused her sexually when she was young, but I dismissed it. She exhibited none of her symptoms. No, the abuse was psychological. By putting her under his domination, created a kind of Stockholm syndrome in her soul, wherein the captive falls in love with the captor. He tormented her, but there was no one she could turn to, no one she could trust. It was a most insidious kind of sadism. She had no choice but to love him. She seemed exhausted by her narrative, and I asked her if she wanted to rest. No, she said. It was better to get the whole story out. I struck out on my own. I moved me and the children out of the house to where I live now and told him I was going to start my own line of clothes. Didn't he get angry? I asked, visualizing his rage. Worse, he laughed. He told me I'd never get financing, that nobody would give money to a woman. He said if I did manage to start a business of my own, he'd disinherit me and the girls. You can walk the streets for all I care, is what he said. But I went ahead anyway. About a year ago, I quit his company, wrote my own marketing plan for another, rented an office, and I talked to wholesalers and retail buyers without any money. Well, I'd saved my salary when I lived at home and I got a small business loan from the bank, but I didn't have nearly enough even with the loan. And these first months have been tough going. Still, I made a few sales. The buyer from Bloomingdale's in Miami bought my line of office wear. She said I had accomplished miracles in a short time. I was on my own way. Of course, when my father found out about it, he stopped speaking to me. I'd hoped for my new life, but the anxiety is tremendous. I have nightmares, so I'm afraid to sleep. I shout at my children. I'm eating out of nervousness. I've gained 10 pounds, all on junk food. My breathing gets so bad, I sometimes think I'm going to die. You say, had hope? Has it gone? She bowed her head. Yes. Did you know why? Again she dissolved, and she gasped out her answer through her tears. My father has asked me to come back. His company was going bankrupt. With all its fame and despite the fact that stores were filled with its merchandise, he was in a deep financial trouble. Although his upmarket clothes still sold, it was his strength in the area which accounted me for his initial rise. The lower end part of the business was failing. Christina was right when her customers had stopped buying. Orders for the following year were down 40%, a calamitous decline. He's on the verge of bankruptcy, Christina said after she'd explained the facts, and he's asked me to come back and save him. And that's why you've come to see me. Yes, because I can't make up my mind about what to do, and it's driving me crazy. Oh, so you're not crazy, I assured her. Oh, you're not crazy. Just stuck. Sometimes when decisions are monumental, it prevents us from making them at all. She looked at me gratefully. Although what I had said was neither profound nor original, I had pinpointed the problem. Maybe it will help if we go through your options. Good, she said. Her composure regained. Her words came quickly now. She had already sorted through the choices in her mind. First, I can go back to my father and help him as he'd asked. That would mean giving up on my life for him, a kind of suicide for a family cause. Second, I can stop working and remarry. I choose carefully this time. This time it would be for love and have more children like millions of my sisters around the world. My parents would approve, my culture would thank me, and I suppose I could make myself a happy but unfulfilled life. She paused, obviously visualizing it, and shook her head sadly. Or I could go on with my own clothing line. She brightened. It would work. You know, Dr. Wise, I didn't tell you this before, but when it comes to business decisions, I'm psychic. Don't smile. Really, I know no, I know I'll succeed. It's only in life decisions that I mess up. Many successful business people have Christina's gift. They call it gut instinct, or flying by the seat of their pants, or playing a hunch. But it's actually a kind of psychic power. Again, I didn't doubt that Christina possessed it, and it seemed to point to the right path. What's the downside? I asked. She said. She sighed. Many compete with him in his own business. Many. One being compete with him in his own business. My family has cast me out already, even my mother. If I go on, they'll never forgive me. Frankly, I don't even know if I could forgive myself. It's such a betrayal of them, of him, that I feel I deserved his anger and any punishment that came with it. But isn't that what you're doing now, competing with him? Absolutely. And that's what has made it so hard to sleep and filled me with such anxiety. She saw my surprised expression. Or isn't the business part of it that worries me? I've already performed miracles. As the Bloomingdale buyer said, I told you I am psychic. It's that if he goes bankrupt, my success would literally kill him. I don't understand then why you started your own business at all. Because I was angry, because he betrayed me and I wanted revenge. Because, and here she stopped. The tears started. Because I don't think I could have gone on with my business. When it was successful, I think I'd have nervousness. Sorry. When it was successful, I think I'd have given it to him. Actually, some great part of me didn't want it to succeed. I'd already planned to give it up before I came to see you. There are a number of factors here. I said sympathetically. You've been betrayed, but you will feel guilty if you strike back. You're angry, but you're afraid of the consequences. You're psychic, but you can't figure out the future. Men have only hurt you, but you're willing to remarry. You love and hate your father simultaneously. Does that sum it up? She laughed despite herself. Tell me, doctor, what are my chances? We must see if we can look into the future, I said. But to do that, let's let go of your past. Her first regression was a short one. All she could tell me was that she lived in an Islamic culture of North Africa. She couldn't place a date or describe her surroundings. She knew that she was a male, a writer of verse, and that she had a father, also a writer, of whom she was extremely jealous, for he outshone his son in recognition, prominence, and income. The parallels to her present life were so direct and obvious that she felt that she saw might have been nothing more than a fantasy. The second regression was more interesting. It's in the Middle Ages, 12th century. I'm a young man, a priest, very handsome, living in the mountains. It looks like South Central France. There are deep gorges and valleys, so traveling is difficult. But many people come to me. They are in need of my ability to give physical and psychological succor. I believe in reincarnation and inspire others to believe in it also, which is a great comfort to them. People who are diseased, lepers, and sick children seek me out when I touch them. Many of them are miraculously cured. Of course, I'm a beloved figure. No one else has my talent. My father in my present life is a farmer in this one, and he lives not a mile away. He's everything I'm not: greedy, godless, accusative, a misanthropy. He's the richest man in the region, but his money and land don't tempt the free spirited village girl he covers. Though he would give them all for her love, she loves me and is willing to accept only spiritual platonic love, for I am true to my vows of celibacy. By loving you, I show my love for God, she tells me. An invading army from Rome has been able to ford the gorges and surrounded the villages. They attack and captured. The farmer denounces me to the authorities, claiming I practice black magic. When they hear stories of my power to heal and my certainty of lives to come, they believe the farmer and I am burned at the stake. It's an agonizing death. For along with the flame, the smoke makes it impossible to see my beloved, who weeping has come to watch me die and to give whatever solace she can. Moments after I die, she hurls herself down a gorge and is killed instantly. In death, I'm able to look down on the village to see what transpires. The farmer's jealousy of me, which I barely recognized when I was alive, never disappears. He has to settle for a loveless marriage and grows more bitter, more cruel. In my life review, I can see myself come back in a future life to help the farmer, now a blacksmith, with his life lessons. But I'm not able to give him much help. He will come back again and again without progress. I feel I failed, and I failed because deep in my Christian heart, I hate him. He killed me and worse, the woman I loved. I rejoice that he was bitter, unfulfilled, and miserable. I know my thoughts are wrong, but I can't help it. It would be a lie to pretend anything else. When Christina left that day, I made a note to see if her asthma got better, for I felt that the priest's death by fire and smoke was linked to it. This is fairly common. Breathing problems often have past life causes. In fact, it was markedly improved by our next session and not nearly as debilitating as today. I made another note. Jealousy is what hooked farmer and priest together in another life and probably in this one. In this life, Christina's father was presented with the opportunity to redeem himself for the jealousy and treachery he displayed towards her in past lives. He could have supported her psychologically by recognizing and acknowledging her talent, and he could have rewarded her by promoting her in the company. He chose to do neither. Perhaps yet another lifetime will be needed for him to learn compassion and altruism. In her next and last regression, Christina found herself in a small town in England in the 1800s. It's an exciting place to be, she told me. For the first time in history, men are going off to work, leaving their houses to go to offices or factories, while women are put in sole charge of the home. It means a new kind of society, different relationships between husband and wife. But I'm lucky, I'm still young, 20, not married, and have a job in a textile plant so I can make some money. Once I get there, I think of all sorts of ways to increase production and reduce costs simultaneously. My supervisor is impressed and asks my advice all the time. He's terrifically handsome and he says he loves me. I sure love him. The supervisor in that life, once again, is a father in this one. I led her forward in a past life, noting a marked change in expression. She was no longer a happy, carefree girl, but a bitter, disillusioned woman. The supervisor, it turns out, betrayed her. He didn't love me after all. He pretended so he could steal my ideas and take them off as his own. He was promoted. His superiors called him a genius. Oh, it's horrible. I hate him. One day I confronted him in front of his boss and begged him to confess that his ideas were really mine. The next day he accused me of stealing £5 from a co-worker. I was innocent, totally innocent, but the girl backed him up. She was probably his mistress, but he told her he loved her, so she would take his side. It'll serve her right when she finds out what a bastard he is. I was arrested, sent to prison for a year, humiliated, abandoned. In jail, I developed pneumonia. It didn't kill me, but it weakened my lungs and I had coughing spells for the rest of my life. Another parallel with her present day asthma. I couldn't get another job but was forced to beg. I had promise, real promise. All my co workers at the factory thought so. But what good would it do to me? It destroyed me, she began to cry. Did you ever forgive him? Never. Hatred of him was the fuel that kept me going. I'll see him dead before I die, I told myself, but it was a promise I couldn't keep. I died before I was 40, unmarried, childless, alone. He probably lived to be 100. What injustice, what a waste of my life on this earth. Not really. The tragedy of that past life and of her life as a priest was preparation for this life and her lives to come. When I brought her back to the present, she remained in an altered state that I could not precisely define. The Bible tells us that the sins of the father carry on to the third or the fourth generation of descendants. I looked it up. She was paraphrasing Exodus 25. But that doesn't make sense. We are our own descendants, reincarnated as our grandchildren, great grandchildren, and our great great grandchildren throughout our many lives. And at any point, we can erase those sins because they don't exist in anyone another. They exist in ourselves. My father was in all my lives. I recognized him as my father, a farmer, a supervisor, and in each life I loved him and then hated him. His sins have followed me down through the centuries. She leaned forward, inspired. But so have mine. Isn't his sins I must change. It's my own. I've hated him for millennia. Hatred is a sin. Each time that hatred eradicated the love I felt for him at the beginning. But what if it's different this time? What if I can eradicate hatred with love? Christina's extraordinary insights did not, of course, answer the question of which choice to make employee, housewife, competitor. In the next months, at the time of our working together, I was just beginning my progression work and was using it selectively. Christina's strength and intellect made her an excellent candidate, I thought, and I suggested we try going forward. She agreed readily. We're only going to look at possible futures pertaining to your choices, I told her. I want to avoid glimpses of serious illness, loss, or death. If you find yourself going in that direction, tell me and I'll bring you back. I started by asking her to see herself if she had stayed in her father's company. I'm sick, physically sick, she said at once. But despite my admonition, she stopped me from bringing her back. It's a sickness born of frustration. The job is stifling me literally and figuratively. My asthma is worse. I can't breathe. It's like being in England 2 centuries ago. I'm in prison. Her vision of herself as a housewife is equally bleak. My children and are both grown and have moved away. I'm alone. I never remarried. My head feels empty, like my brains have shriveled up from lack of use. I see my inventiveness. as belonging to other lives, not this one. As for starting competitive business, I'm successful. My father is bankrupt. I'm a multimillionaire. Nevertheless, I'm miserable. It all feels angry and vindictive. I've lost my winning. My father and I never see each other, never speak. We sit in our rooms, separated by silence, spending our days with hatred. When I brought her back, expected sadness, instead, jubilation. There is a fourth choice, she cried. One I didn't see before. Start my own business, but not in competition with my father. Wouldn't that be risky? I asked. I don't think so. Marketing and design skills apply to all businesses, cookware, ceramics. I'm a good cook and an okay potter, so at least I'll know what I'm talking about. Though naturally, I'll get expert advice. I'll have an in the stores that might sell them in a record with my present startup that's the equal of anybody's. I'll go back to the lenders who helped me get started and tell them I've changed my plans, but not to worry. I'll come up with a new marketing plan, a new business plan. I'm an expert at those. I'll design stock pots, casseroles, coffee cups, dinner services. I'll work with clay, with steel, with silver. And nobody will say that I'm out to beat my father. Why? When it succeeds, he'll be proud of me and love me at last. Her enthusiasm was so boundless that I didn't have the heart to point out the pitfalls. I was sure she would succeed, but win her father's love? Something profound would have to change in both of them before death was possible. She left effusing gratitude, but I remained unsatisfied. True, I had helped her solve the dilemma, but there was more work to be done. I thought back to her insight about the transmission of sin and wondered if she would take it further. I was therefore pleased when a few months later she called for an appointment. She had Rocky going, she told me. Her new plans were not met with the support she'd expected. She had yet to find her own design voice. She had had to change her children's school from private to public. She was worried about money, afraid she'd have to go back to her father after all, if only to support her children. Yet she described her problems with an ebullience, lacking in her earlier visits. The darkness under her eyes had also disappeared, and she breathed far more easily. I pointed this out and asked her why. I'm in love. I was astonished. When she left, I figured it would be a long time before she would get let love in. She was too angry at men, too determined to be alone, yet there was no mistaking the light in her eyes. Tell me, Ricardo's wonderful, wonderful. I met him at a reading group. We had discovered that we share a love, Don, Don, I don't know how to pronounce this. I've always faltered with this. Maybe because we both tilt at windmills. He's a commercial flyer, a freelancer who hires out to international companies operating between here and Latin America. He's been to Sao Paulo and even knows the streets where I lived. He speaks Spanish and Portuguese, and when I told him about you, he said he'd read one of your books in Portuguese when he was in Brazil because he couldn't get the English language edition. It was the first one, he thinks, the one about you and your patient. I've forgotten the title too, though I'm afraid he doesn't believe all of it. Do you mind? Of course not. I'm glad you're happy. I'm surprised really that you're in love. She looked up at me with enormous gravity. I'm surprised too. I asked myself, how could it happen? And so suddenly, and I believe I have the answer because of what we talked about earlier. The moment I realized I was a sinner as well as my father, and that my sin is hate, it has been through all my past lives, and my hatred of him, of all men, vanished. And into my life walked in Ricardo. I know it sounds really too pat, but it's true. She put her hands on my desk and leaned towards me. It's the strangest thing, Dr. Weiss. When I look at him, really look, I see the good part of my soul. He's me. I know I'm him, but it seems impossible. I explained that when a soul is fragmented from the one, it can enter more than one body simultaneously, and that her feeling wasn't strange or even particularly unusual. She and Ricardo were destined to meet. I told her, and now their free choice would determine what would happen to them in the future. I have an idea of what that might be. So did I. There remained the question of whether her new business would succeed or fail. I asked her if she wanted me to lead her into the future, and after considerable hesitation in her current euphoria, she didn't want bad news, she agreed. Only instead of going a few years forward, she went 1200. Usually, when people progress in the distant future, they're not sure of the year. Christina was positive 3200. The earth is very green, she said, much greener and more fertile than it is now. The forests are lush, the meadows filled with flowers, but funnily enough, there are no animals. Why, when there's so much food for them to eat? There aren't any people either. They can communicate with one another telepathically, and the body is less tense than ours, are filled with light. They live in small groups, not cities, in lovely houses made of wood or stone. They seem to be farmers. I can see liquid or liquid light pouring into the plants. Sometimes the liquid pours into the peoples themselves. People are extremely spiritual. I can't see any illness, any real danger, any violence or war. There's a certain translucent quality to everything, a permeating light that connects everyone and everything in peace. How did it make you feel seeing the world this way? I asked when I had brought her back to the present. She beamed, calm, comfortable, joyous. I look forward to living there. I wonder why you went there instead of the immediate future. She considered the question because it's more important. I can handle the years in this life by myself. My business will flourish like the trees and plants 2 millennia from now. With Ricardo to love, how can it fail? She was right, of course. Within 18 months, her goods were in upscale stores across the country. And when Carol and I went to Russia, we saw them in St. Petersburg. She was also doing a burgeoning business on the internet. She invested some of her profits in her father's business and saved him from the threatened bankruptcy. Ricardo and she married, and I pretty much lost contact with her. But one morning, she called me. I could hear the elation in her voice. I had to tell you, Dr. Weiss, because it's thanks to you that it happened. Last night, Ricardo and I were at my parents for dinner. We go often, they like him. Anyways, as we were leaving, my father drew me aside and hugged me. Hugged me. It felt wonderful. And then, for the first time in my life or his, he told me that he loved me. Love is an absolute quality and energy. It does not show up, does not stop with our death. It continues on the other side and returns here again. It's epitome of the spirit's quality and the body's. It is life and the afterlife. It is our goal, and all of us in this and our future lives will attain it. That was a profound lesson, right? All right, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today, for healing, for reading, for learning, for discovering love once again. I look forward to our last session of this book tomorrow in the morning from 5 to 6. Sunday, of course, we have a break, and Monday we start this new book. And I'll just decide which book it is. Maybe it's time into healing. Let's see, yeah, because we've been working on healing. So let's see, let's work on the healing book that drives the energy more. I'll share the PDF with you all today, even though we'll start the book on Monday. Let's do it. Lots of love and light. And
Prachi, we begin 5:50, right? You said?
5:50 tomorrow. Yes, Pratima ji.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I just feel that nearer 7, I would like to be free, because if I want to navigate the hospital, it'll be easy. So I wouldn't, my energy should be in the book.
Definitely.
5:50 we start, and about 6:50, 6:45 we get over tomorrow, and we conclude this gorgeous book. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lots of love and light.
Take care of yourself. Thank you.
I will. I lose, I break, but I again build myself.
You're strong, always strong.
We all are strong, but we all are, have emotions, and I think our emotions
Absolutely.
are beautiful. So I let them come. Thank you. Thank you so much for your love, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining in. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. 5:50 it is.